On this episode of American Detour, we're turning this into this. All for a 1989 Chevy K2500 you guys saw a while back. And we're doing all of this on a huge budget. That being said, this motor is literally put together with nothing but 2 different motors and 0 cost besides gasket sets. Other than that, literally 0 money whatsoever put into this motor. Let's go. Back in the crack house, the heater's blowing in the background. I apologize. In this episode, we're gonna go ahead and take apart the 350 that's locked up. That was in my 1985 K2500, also known as Mark. We're gonna take the bottom end off it, see if we can't figure out if it's a bent rod, oiling problem, trying to figure out what it is that went wrong with our truck. So I bought this truck about 10 months ago or so to do a body swap with it. But what I wasn't really realizing is that the body that came off, which the cab is sitting right here behind me, it's clean, it's really clean. But I want to put my painted body on it and whatnot off my 1500. But now I'm thinking that's stupid, waste of time, way more work that needs to be done. So I'm putting the original body back on it, and the only problem this truck really had was a lot of janky work, and the motor was seized up. We pulled it out in the last episode, tried to turn over the fly with a flex plate. It didn't want to turn over at all. We're gonna take off the oil pan with the motor sitting as it would in the truck, so that everything that fell or broke or whatever is in the pan already, right there for us to scavenge through, and try and decipher what in the world went on with this truck motor. One thing that sucks about this motor, if you didn't see our last episode, we technically cannot use the block, and I'll tell you why. So this is where the engine mount would bolt on, the clamshell. Now, if you look, it's broken off right there. Now technically we could put this back in the truck, but I don't like the idea. It seems kind of sketchy. I mean, heck, the motor was literally chained in. The chain that was holding this motor in is what's holding it up on the stand right now. I'm gonna take a guess right now as to what happened. I'm guessing that either bent a rod or kicked a rod based on everything I'm seeing. Because, I mean, unless it had an oiling problem and it just straight up seized. The thing is, we got it to move a tiny bit. Check this out. This is just a random bolt that I grabbed hold of on the oil pan, right? Not a tool used, not a single tool. People, this is why I don't trust people. Oh, but that's ridiculous, man. Come on. I cannot wait to see what we find when we drop the pan. Because I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Just bone dry or something. Okay, so upon closer inspection, I didn't even bother looking in the pan yet. I decided to just go ahead and look up underneath the motor. It's pretty obvious what happened. Okay, so as you can see, that's all oiled up, looks decent right there, nothing's bent. You come back here, that's pretty dry if you ask me. If you look right here, see that little flap in there? See what I'm talking about right there? That would be a bearing, destroyed. And then there's just junk all over these, just destroyed metal and crap all over this connecting rod. Back here is all good, all oiled up and good to go. This right here is what went. It seems to me there was an oiling problem, destroyed those 2 bearing journals, and then it just ate itself alive. So I took a peek in here and see that right there, all them little chunks and stuff right there. That's all bearing material. All of it is. All kinds of destroyed. There's quite a bit of it in there anyway too. So again, honestly, kind of good news. That means that we didn't destroy the entire block and everything that goes with it. that what I think it is? Oh my God. Someone welded the front accessory cover to the studs that go in the motor. What a freaking idiot, man. I got the table over here completely cleared off for the first time since I bought the house. We're gonna lay out all of our sensors, electrical wires, and things like that, so that we all know where everything's at. I got a bucket over there to store all the bolts in, so we're staying as organized as humanly possible so I don't lose anything, or at least as little as possible. I got almost all the front accessories off here, honestly, and now I'm about ready to take off the rest of the stuff on top of the manifold, and then we can go ahead and take the manifold off, the heads and everything. And then we're gonna start putting it on the other motor, the 350 I was building a while back. And then honestly, by the end of this episode, we may or may not have a motor back together. We'll just have to wait and see. That's just from sticking the magnet in the coolant that's sitting in the lifter valley. A lot of freaking metal there. So I'm excited to take these heads off and see how freaking destroyed this motor really is. Finally time to start putting everything on our 350 block over here, when I worked on a long time ago. So this was sitting for quite a while. It has some rust built up on the cylinder walls and whatnot, and so this morning I oiled it up, got it turned over and everything. So this is ready to have heads put on it, the intake put on it, all that good stuff. But before we do all that, we have to clean up our heads over there before we put them on here, because they're pretty dirty looking. There they are. They're really spongy and covered and you know, just oil residue and all that crap, and someone took this thing mud in a bunch and it's got dirt all over it. So I'm gonna take the time to clean this up and get this ready, also get our intake ready. I got a gasket set this morning, which is from Felpro. It's head gasket set, so it comes with the head gaskets, intake gaskets, all that good stuff, most of the stuff you're really gonna need. And so by the end of the episode, we're gonna have at least most everything but the oil pan on. Only because I don't have an oil pan gasket yet, so everything's going to be on besides that. So I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this thing up, and then go ahead and then put them on eventually and get it all torqued down and good to go. Dude, it's like I machined it by myself. That's a lot better looking. I mean, I'm gonna get in here eventually and try and clean that up a little bit more. But that's what it looked like before. This is the other head. That's what it looks like now. So now I gotta check it for, to see if it's level and flat and whatnot, to make sure that it wasn't overheated to the point where this warped or anything like that. So, got me a straight edge. I'm going to check for flatness. That there is a flat head. We're good. Now, I'm gonna clean where the intake mounts on, clean up on the outside and whatnot, make it look pretty, and then clean up the rocker arm area because it's full of dirt now, because I cleaned off all the dirt that this person had on the head. Then we're good to go. Okay, we got her all nice and cleaned up. It's all flat, good to go. We double checked that. I got both surfaces all cleaned up, and I got all the dirty, crappy, greasy stuff off of it, most of the surface rust and whatnot, just so we can paint it up and make it look halfway decent. That one's done. I gotta do the other one. then clean the intake up, and then we can start setting things on the motor. So I'm gonna go ahead and just blast through this stuff, and I'll update you guys after a little bit. What I'm doing now is I'm gonna go ahead and clean out all the oil I used this morning to lube up the cylinders so that when I put the heads back on, I don't put the spark plugs in and then accidentally hydraulic the freaking thing. Dude, I am so excited. This motor's been sitting here dormant for like 6 months probably, and now we're finally putting it back together. We got the heads over there, got the gaskets on. This gasket set I got is like very complete, like everything you need except for the oil pan. It's all in here, everything. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and put the heads on here, set them on there and drop a few bolts in so they stay in place, and then see what it looks like. I am so excited. I could not be happier right now, dude. It's like it's finally coming back together. For a second I thought one of the heads were warped, but it was just actually a mass of carbon because the head gasket had kind of lifted at one point. I was gonna put the other heads I have sitting over here on, but they're not the same type of head. So luckily this one was fine, just had to sand it down a little bit to get the carbon off of it. It's all good. So anyway, I'm gonna put the other head on here, and then we gotta clean up that intake and set it on here too, because I wanna have this motor pretty much, for the most part, all put together tonight. I have all the torque patterns wrote down, as well as the different steps. So like step 1 I have to do 25 foot-pounds, step 2 is 45, step 3 is 65 foot-pounds. So I gotta go through and bolt all 17 heads down to the correct spec 3 different times. So let's go ahead and get to it. And there she is. Now I know these aren't cinnamon valve covers, they're just on there for aesthetic purposes to make your eyes feel good. Anyway, they're all torqued on, they're all sitting perfectly. I had to clean out the intake ports a little bit because there's some dirt in them, no big deal, all cleaned out perfectly fine. I'm so happy, dude. Finally we're doing something with this motor and it's almost done. Now all I gotta do now is clean up that intake over there, you see. That's not gonna take too horribly long, but I'm gonna clean that up, and then the top end's gonna be done pretty much. For the most part, it's gonna be all finished up. All right, admittedly it's getting pretty freaking late and I'm getting really tired, and I got tired of using the freaking whiz wheel dealio whatever to clean this because it kept kicking up and then ripping out my shop towels and it kept throwing crap everywhere, so I got tired of it. I'm gonna finish up cleaning. I was using a wire brush there, like a hand wire brush for a while. It's doing decent. I'm gonna have to like degrease it and then power wash it, but it is way too cold and way too late to be doing that. So that's where I'm going to end off this episode, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. It means the world to us. Again, please share this video if you'd like to with at least one other person. If not, understandable, but if you could, that'd be fantastic. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all take it easy. Have a good one. See you later.